All right, in today's podcast, Manuel Lozano is a guest on my podcast, and we're going to talk about his association that he founded back in 2019 for vacation rental property owners, property management companies here in Mexico. He also does an annual conference for vacation rental companies and owners. I think you're really going to like this, especially if you're a vacation rental owner or you're interested in getting into that business. Take a listen. All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today's guests, we have Manuel, and Manuel is someone I just am meeting right now because he was introduced to me by Barbie Lopez, our manager of vacation rentals at Ronival Real Estate. And Manuel, she met you recently at a conference in Cancun. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, thanks for joining, and tell everyone a little bit about you. Where are you right now? Where are you from? And how did you get involved in the vacation rental business?
Well, it's really a long story. I don't know if you want to go to that long, but anyways, my name is Manuel Lozano. I was born and raised in Mexico City. And to make the story just a little bit faster on because I know we don't want to bother. We don't want to bother and make it more easy conversation, I guess, is that the fact that I used to live in San Diego, in California, and at that time I had a business of marketing, digital marketing, and one of my clients. This is a long time ago. One of my clients, it was a property manager from Southern California, and this person basically hired my services to create everything about their digital marketing, their website, and actually that's how I started to go into different conferences of the Burma in the U.S., the Vacation Rental Management Association, and in that point. I began to learn a lot about short-term rentals. As a matter of fact, I began to do short-term rental because I used to have properties in the U.S. For long-term, and actually, it really got my attention to it. Also, as a side business, so I started working with this client, and then eventually, this person had also properties in Mexico, in Los Cabos. Me being from Mexico, hey, I said I go there anytime, right? So I went and started learning about the vacation rental business in Mexico, and it shocked me to learn that there was no association, there was no conferences, there was no networking events among all this big industry in Mexico. And it took me by surprise to say, why, if Mexico is among the top most visited countries, vacation rental is just going, is growing like crazy. And there's none of this. It didn't make any sense to me. So I started contemplating the idea of putting this together. First of all, the conference as such, the Expo Renta Vacacional conference. And it took me 2 years really to plan it, to move up and start putting together all the parties involved in the organization of this type of event. So at the end, I did it, the event in 2019. Decided to do it in Cancun because it's probably one of the states where we have a lot of vacation rentals, and of course it was exploding in all this area in buildings in vacation rental properties. And did the first event in 2019. And then one of the great things that we had after doing this event, it was that with the key learnings and the key aspects on this first conference is to realize that we need to have an association. And when we kind of realized that on this meeting, on this conference, all of a sudden people came back to me and said, why don't you start it? Because you already put together this, and you managed to be involved with all of us. You basically reunited us. We have people coming from the Los Cabos, from Vallarta, from Mexico City, and of course from the region. And basically decided to do it and created this first association for professional manager companies or professional managers as an individuals to join the association and to create this association that will represent us among the different industries and represent us with governments, with local governments. So that's how I started it. That's basically the story.
And that was back in 2008. And how have you seen the last almost 5 years in the vacation rental market in Mexico evolve?
Okay, so right after that, that conference and putting together this association, we have the pandemic, right? So in 2020, you know how it goes. I couldn't do anything. We couldn't do an event in 2020, a presential event. Even putting together or running the association, it was even more difficult. So what happens is that in 2020, we did everything online, and we did this conference online, of course, just to get the information out there. But in 2021, that's when we did the big leap, because what happens in 2021 is that we kind of understood that this conference, it was very important to unite the industry in Mexico, and from there it actually began to grow. It grew a lot from 2021 to our last conference in a month ago in 2023. It grew a lot in terms of organization. And the association itself, for the very first time, it got the attention of a lot of property managers, and important property managers in terms of size. Why? Because regulations are coming into Mexico, and if we don't have if we don't have an association that can hold everyone together and representing their interests, it's going to be very, very difficult to create and pass information to authorities on how we think, or actually to have our point of view across to them. Because currently what is happening is basically all the regulations are coming from the government with only one thing in mind: regulate with the view of the hotels. And the hotels are very strong. They have big associations. They have a lot of resources. But the message that is conveyed to basically the authorities and to, I would say, the people out there, to the people in the industry, is only one side. It's basically the hotel information, or the hotel rhetoric, the information coming from the hotels, the hotel's point of view. But they don't have ours. And that's why it's so important to participate in associations, whether with us or with someone else, to create another association. But it's very important because we need to convey our message. We need to convey our information about what we see as an industry, the benefits of this industry in Mexico, and why it is so important to regulate this industry. For the well-being not only of our our businesses, but also for the industry itself, and for everything that generates to the local communities, taxes, jobs creation, perception of Mexico, and our own guests, national and international. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah. No, it's been very informative. How big of a market is the Mexico vacation rental market?
We're talking about 320,000 listings for Mexico, according to key data. And that's the last number that I checked in November 2023. Now, in terms of different cities or different markets, it varies. We have the most important night producer, no revenue producer, but as nights, is Mexico City. And then from there, you have all type of statistics. State-wise, probably Quintana Roo state is the most important one, with close to 50,000 listings in the whole state. And that's why it's so relevant to have these conferences and to have this association, because we have a very big market, and we definitely need to represent the interest of all the people involved in this industry.
And how has it been in regards to the opposition, which is the hotel group? Because I could definitely see the competition and the hotels not wanting to compete with the vacation rental market. Are you finding that Mexico and different areas are passing legislation to disallow vacation rental properties?
No, not to a very worrisome extent. There is a few bills being proposed as we speak in Mexico City, which definitely hurt the industry. Hopefully they will not be, if this law passes, hopefully this will not be something that some other states can use. But I'm beginning to see some movement in the legislation towards creating bills to control and to regulate the industry. Now, we as an association, we definitely believe on a regulated industry, because any industry which is considered important has to be regulated, and this is a very important industry, and it has to be regulated to avoid tragedies, which not only passes or happens in Mexico. I mean, we hear tragedies happen in the States, in Europe, in Spain, and different countries. We have had our share of those tragedies in Mexico. But it's important for us to have an industry where protects the guest, who protects the owner, and protects also the people who does the management on this type of industry. So that's one portion. And then, of course, we have the portion of the hotels, which is, of course, very important industry. But we see these two industries working together. And as a matter of fact, if we see what is happening worldwide, we see a conjunction with the hotel industry, a conjuncture of a hotel industry and vacation rentals. We see more and more hotel chains working together with or buying, or creating, departments or companies regarding vacation rental, such as Marriott with Marriott Home & Villas, or Accor Group with One Fine Stay. The Mandarin Group is doing the same. So we actually seeing this type of companies or industries working together and buying some other parts. Even Vacasa in the States, they have purchased hotel chains as well. So this is something that is happening. We're beginning to see this also in Mexico, and I'm predicting that the industry will be regulated. It has happened basically in every single modern country, and this will happen in Mexico, and that's the reason why we need to start working in that process and working with the authorities to do so.
What are some of the regulations that are being proposed and that you can foresee happening in Mexico?
To be quite frank, it's difficult to say right now, because the reason why I said it's difficult, because it's each one of the states will have its own or particular interest and particular situation. Those that I can tell you that is happening is, for instance, at a national level, where they're working on right now on a registration process with the Secretary of Tourism. That's at the national level. In particular, Mexico City is passing or is proposing to pass a very rough and potential, very difficult situation for property managers and hosts, which I think caps the occupancy to a certain percentage, or caps also the the proportion or the amount of properties that you can have in vacation rental to a certain amount of properties. So those are, probably the toughest one that we're beginning to see in Mexico City. But I don't think that would be wise to do in some other areas. And again, Mexico City has a very unique particularity and then a very unique thing, which is the worrisome of the government of see the gentrification of the city in certain areas. So again, I think most of regulations will come in municipalities and by state, very specifically according to its own problems and to their own situations regarding vacation rentals. And of course, we have also the amount of lobbying that hotel associations are doing. So again, that's the reason why we need to get prepared. We need to get ready for all these, because of course, hotels associations, they're very powerful. They do have a lot of resources. And basically, what we saw in New York is basically, something that happened due to the hotel lobbying in New York. So I don't think something like that will happen in Mexico, but we need to be ready to whatever happens. So yeah.
Got it. And for APAR, it's an association that you started 4 years ago, and it's currently has how many members a part of it?
So we have close to 110 members. We represent a lot of listings, national level, and we including hosts, property managers, basically three type of members. So you have the host, which has only one unit and one or two units perhaps, and they have perhaps rooms in their house, or they have properties. Then you have the property manager as a individual. So if you consider yourself a property manager which handles properties for third parties, and you're an individual who are doing that just by yourself, that's the other person that we see. And then of course we have the property management company, which is a company established as a corporation or whatever type of legal structure, but it's a company. And as a company, they have they have different people, employees that work with them, and they manage several properties for the objective of their corporation.
A couple of years ago, or maybe less than 2 years ago, there was a change in the Airbnb platform where if you're a foreign owner in Mexico, they needed to collect the taxes for the owners. Can you tell everyone that's not familiar with that new law, or now that it's almost 2 years, I think, what that law is and how owners that are foreigners are addressing that topic?
Yeah, so basically this law specifically says that you have a home, a second home or a home in Mexico, and you put in for vacation rental, you need to, by the way, this is a law that applies for everyone, right? Nationals or international. So basically, before that law, no one, basically everything was under the table. It was no one pays or reports the VAT tax. No one's report anything of income as an income tax or the hospitality tax, right? So those are the three taxes that no one used to report them. Now, after that law, basically says that if you have a property, whether you're a Mexican or you're an American or a European or whatever you are, basically you need to report those. And since the government is very difficult for them to basically go after each individual, even in the States or in Mexico, I guess the best way for them to do it, it was to say, we're going to go through, who makes the most money, which are the platforms, and we're going to do it through them. So basically now, if Airbnb has the right or needs to report to the authorities, basically to report the VAT tax. They have to report X amount of income tax, and also has to report the hospitality tax. So depending on where you are on different states, they have certain or different rules. But basically now, and specific for your question, what happened with the American or the European who have property in Mexico? So you basically have two choices. You can either register. You need to register with Airbnb or your platform, and you have to give them your tax ID from Mexico. So one of the things you need to do as an American, you have to find out with the local legislation how to obtain your tax ID from Mexico and provide that tax ID to the OTA. The OTA will place that information and will basically, in other words, will pay your taxes accordingly, and reporting that to the IRS in Mexico is the SAT. So they will have to report it to the SAT authorities to pay those taxes. So it really depends on the amount of money that you're making. That will apply certain rules on the VAT retention and the VAT on the income tax. And I believe also, depending on which state you are, it will apply the hospitality tax. But yes, it's something that unfortunately is no Kansas anymore. You need to pay your taxes. So
no free.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, Manuel, no free tax pass. And us as a company at Ronival, what we did was, most of our clients don't want to go through the hassle of setting up the tax ID number. They don't want to do the monthly reporting and paying the taxes. And so we brought that all in-house. We hired several advisors to create a system by which we can do all that for them. So it makes it more convenient, right? And what we find is our clients, the more convenient you can make it for them, the more value it is, right? And so, that was a big change, because for our clients that didn't do that, the platforms were taking 20% off the top for the taxes, plus the VAT even. So it's a significant amount if you don't have the correct tax planning in place.
I mean, just to let you know this, to be quite frank, initially when they passed this law, in a way, I was expecting that they would give them a free pass to internationals. And certain part of me, I was hoping for it, because I have the dual nationality, and I would say, well, if they give me a free pass, I'll get one, right? And the other hand, of course, I was hoping not to, because it will be perceived as a very bad situation also. But the reason why I was thinking that it will be probably a free pass, it was basically because I just could not see a lot of people, a lot of Americans, going into Mexico or acquiring this tax ID, just going through the hassle of doing it. I know the government in Mexico, and I was just saying, this is crazy. How are they gonna do that? I don't see any foreign person or any American coming and navigate through this website and understanding them, which, by the way, is only in Spanish. The amount of documentation that they're requesting is just crazy. How are they going to do this? It's just going to be impossible. So I'm sure they're going to have a free pass, and they didn't. But I understand where you're coming from, and if there's a better way to do it, do it.
Yeah. No. Now that we're coming to the end of 2023, which in our market, and I would say probably all of Mexico, reading online and talking with other vacation owners in other parts of Mexico and nationally, the market's been hit quite a bit in terms of the vacation rental industry. Lower ADR, lower occupancy. What do you anticipate happening for the upcoming year in 2024?
So what I think is going to happen is this: as we get more regulations, as we begin to see more requirements by the government to run this industry in the right way, with more processes, with more security systems, with more insurance. Insurance for this type of things. I mean, people don't have, even today, this is crazy. They don't have insurance. They rely on platforms insurance. So as we begin to see more regulations towards this, a lot of people, they're gonna basically bail out. I mean, a lot of people are gonna say, this is way too much. I just don't want to do it anymore. I'll put this on long term, or they will find another way to do it. And what is going to happen is that eventually all these people that begin to bail out, they're going to have two options. So either go long term, or they will have to do it in a right way. And pushing them to do this in the right way is going to help the industry, because we're going to be able to have more security for everyone, for your guests, for the owner. And if that's the case, we'll see a decrease in inventory in short term. And probably we're going to have a big jump on those houses, those owners, and those property managers who want to do things correctly in the right way. And of course, that will increase the level of professionalism in the industry. It will increase the security on the properties for everyone, for the guest, for the owner, for the property manager. We will have better services, we'll definitely will be much better prepared to run a very, very good operation. And I think at the end, it will benefit all. Also, I see that perhaps that way, rates will go, at least will be adjusted, because we have to bear in mind that after that legislation passed and when we began to pay the taxes, I didn't see an increase on the average daily rate. I mean, I overall in Mexico pretty much kind of remained the same, and at certain stages even decreased a little bit because due to this situation. The more inventory is, the more supply. This tends to decrease or to affect the ADR. So, the only way moving forward is to professionalize this industry. And of course, people will feel secure to attending to, more professionalized, run operation. And I think eventually this will help on ADRs. I think it will benefit the industry overall. And of course, those people who don't want to do it in a professional way, who this is not the main source of income or business, they eventually will fade out or give the property to someone else who really knows how to handle this situation.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. Whenever there's the new shiny thing in a market, in an industry, there is less regulation, there's more opportunities, there's a lot of people that enter in the market, and then when things get more regulated and things become more transparent and more legitimatized, not that it was an illegitimate industry, it was just unregulated. And regulation protects everyone, the consumer, the vendor, the property manager, and just the point of insurance. I agree with you. A lot of companies, a lot of homeowners don't have insurance policies on their properties, which is a very dangerous thing, because there's going to be more instances of litigation, and things happen. statistically, things happen, right?
Exactly. Bear in mind that this is a market where a few years back it was easy money, right? Hey, just get a house and rent it, and let's make money with this, right? And then eventually it grew to a certain point where right now we're in a point where we're beginning to see the tip of the iceberg now, and that is not simple. And we begin to see, if you turn around as an industry, we turn around and see what is happening in our in the States, and we see what's happening in Europe. This is we'll see, things are happening over there in terms of regulations, and there's no reason why not these regulations will come to Mexico, especially since it has been grown a lot. For one thing, we're among the top of most important countries in terms of tourism, and beginning to see that tragedies are happening, and a big inventory of these properties are happening. And to be quite frank, they were not paying taxes. If we are, in a situation where we are making money, you need to pay the taxes, right? And that's the reason, if you see it from the perspective of an authority or of the government, but you see what is happening in here. So the only thing that I begin to see is that this will happen, and eventually, just like any other industry, when it's regulated, I think it will benefit. Hopefully, with an association, we can push them so we can regulate, and it's a good regulation, and it's good for everyone.
Manuel, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your wisdom, experience, and I look forward to hopefully meeting you here in Los Cabos if you ever make your way out here, or at your next annual convention.
Yeah, no, that would be fantastic. I mean, I extend this invitation to you for next year. Just so you know, this year we did what we call the Expo RV Connect, and we had it in Los Cabos, we had it in Puerto Vallarta, we had it in Playa del Carmen. So we do create small little events to provide information about what's happening at that particular point. So next time we have Los Cabos Connect, I think towards the first week of July. That's where we're aiming for. So I know a lot of people from Los Cabos run away in those particular dates because it's very hot. But if you're around, definitely, we'll let you know.
All right. Thank you, Manuel.
All right. Thank you, Nick.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
All right. And until the next one, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronaval Real Estate, and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronaval. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronaval.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.